Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Oil Motorsports. My name's Ian, and thanks for stopping by. If it's your first time viewing this channel, well, welcome. Thanks for giving me a shot. If you're a long-time viewer, well, I know you're lying, because I haven't been around for that long, so yeah. Anyways, today's a big day. It's Friday night. I've got my buddy coming over tomorrow to help me finally paint this car. My 1991 Mazda Miata. Anyways, we got a lot to do in order to do that. We gotta mask stuff up, we gotta wipe everything down, gotta move the car, sweep underneath it, build a paint booth, and get everything all set up. So when he gets here, it's pretty much just make sure everything's all good and spray it. So, kind of on a time crunch here, and yeah. I love to teach him stuff in this video, except with my buddy coming by, I don't want to have to point a camera in his face and make him feel uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do that unless he's okay with it. So I might have him explain the process and everything else, or if he's not comfortable with it, then we're just gonna have some time lapses. So we're gonna keep going into this, and I'll try to explain what I can along the way. So hopefully you enjoy. Just realized I never really explained what I did here, but the bottom pieces here, all these little spots you see, it's called spotting glaze, right? And they're supposed to fill little tiny pinholes. Kind of see them in there. They're really dark black spots, or gray, whatever you want to call them. And put it in there real thin, pack it into the pinholes, and fills them. Super nice. You can paint right over this. So, yep, sand these all down. Well, I need to get to the steering wheel. Alright, so this is my first time doing this, so I really hope this recording comes out okay. But you can see here I'm blowing all the dust from the car sitting with no tarp over it for a couple days. Yes, my garage gets pretty dusty. It is what it is. If I don't do this, it'll clog up a whole bunch of sheets when I'm wiping it down. See here, I'm just putting some 2x2s and some 4x4s, making some frame, marking the frame for the filter housing. Pretty simple, pretty easy. 2x2s are cheap, and I had them laying around, so I don't want to cut up any 2x4s. Measure my furnace filters and using a whole bunch of duct tape to put it in because, well, it's what I had lying around. You can tell I'm just doing this on the cheap. Doesn't need to be crazy, doesn't need to be crazy permanent, because it's not. $2 furnace filters from Home Depot, and just taping it all up, making sure it doesn't move. Wife's wiping out parts, dog's hanging out with us. Love that dog. Okay, so at the dowel rods up on the other side of that beam right there, okay? I'm using some hooks. They kind of look like so, right? Just normal hooks, nothing that crazy. So the goal here is to hook the first top corner, right? Then you take carabiners and you go around every single one, right? Then you can hang this. Oh, you can't even see me. Boop. Then you can hang this from your dowels. Now it's able to slide, and your one side's anchored, so you can just kind of push it back. Now, if I was going to do this again, I wouldn't use wooden dowels. I'd actually use threaded rod, but threaded rod was kind of expensive, and I didn't really want to pay for it right now. So dowels are $2 each. That's fine. Let's get to it. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We got our filter thingamajobber on the bottom, right? We're gonna shove that and wedge that in between the door. The other side, we're just gonna tape off and put some 2x4s on the bottom on that side. We are tarped all the way around, right? If the door's still open, so we can open the door and put the fans in. That's what we gotta do. We go all the way around, and honestly, it's most the size of the garage. I'm pretty surprised I was able to do that. Yeah, got a little entrance right there. Again, I mean, you really want that to be a zipper. I'm doing this on the cheap. This is maybe $70 in tarps, $10 in carabiners, and these were, I think, $3 or $4 at Home Depot. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. It is currently 11 o'clock, as you probably just saw from my phone. Like I said earlier, my beautiful, wonderful wife came out in the garage and helped me wipe down some of these parts that are off the car here. So she did literally all of these parts, wiped them with wax and grease remover, all these parts, right? Well, I built the booth and built the frame right there. So the chassis, since the chassis was outside while I was cleaning, needs to be wiped. But before I do that, it's also gotta be masked. So we're gonna mask all that up first, then wipe it. But I'm gonna wipe it tomorrow. I'm really trying to go and get into bed by midnight, because I would kind of like to get 8 hours of sleep so I can at least enjoy myself tomorrow. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, as you can tell, here's a mess. Everything's a mess. I've been out here since I got home from work at 4, and I've been up for work since 3 in the morning. Yeah. Honestly, I thought I'd feel worse. All right, so it's the next morning, and I got almost everything done yesterday. Just gotta wipe down the car, set up there, set up back here, change the silica beads on the compressor to make sure I get no water in the system, and yeah, I'm ready to spray some sealer. So I got about 4 hours of sleep, and we're back at it. Let's get to it. Okay, so you can see my buddy Harvey and I here. We are masking everything up and making an attempt here to try to figure out how we want to set things up in the booth. Kind of a challenge because the booth is a little small, but at the same time we are making do with what we got here and trying to figure out how we want to paint some of these smaller pieces. So next thing we got here is mixing up some sealer. because that's going to be the first step to make this paint job come out as nice as we can in a garage. And right here we're putting some self-etching primer on the metal spots we burned through while we were sanding down the primer. And on the plastic pieces we've got a self-etching primer so that everything sticks and lays nice. Speaking of laying nice, look at this here, putting down some sealer. First coat of real automotive paint this car's had since I've owned it. So Harvey's laying down the sealer. What sealer does is creates a nice adhering layer for the paint to stick onto on top of it. Pretty much we just lay this on, let it flash, and after that we're pretty much ready for base. Harvey adds an extra step here where we end up taking some sandpaper and giving it a light sand to take off the dirt nibs that have laid on the panel to minimize buffing later. So as you can tell, it's a lot. It is a lot. This is fast forwarded a lot. It's a lot to do at once. So I am very grateful to have someone who is knowledgeable and experienced at this, because obviously I was not. You can see we're discussing here on kind of figuring out what to do. He's trying to give me some pointers so that when I start laying down some sealer that I at least do it right. So yeah, it was definitely a lot. But yeah. Alright, so you can see here that your boy starts to lay down the first bit of color this car has seen with a legitimate spray gun since probably OEM, which is incredible. But you're going to quickly see here that it goes from me to the guy who actually knows what he's doing. Now that wasn't the intention, but we realized here very, very quickly that with the equipment we had, I had 3 hard cups and a PPS system for quick change cups, that this wasn't going to work. And that was because by the time we were done spraying the last piece, the first piece we started with, in fact this quarter panel, was already ready to be resprayed. So someone needed to be constantly mixing paint, as you see me doing in the background, while someone else was constantly spraying. We were spraying a lot of parts at once, and neither Harvey nor I really expected it, especially in an unheated garage. You know, paint booth can get normally up to about 90 to 100 degrees, while my garage in these clips is about 70 to 75. Now the air compressor did heat up the garage a little bit as we went, so things started to dry faster. But as you can see, the first coat goes on. It looks a little dry with single stage. That's pretty normal. The first coat is really there for just an adhesion, or it's an introductory coat, and then the second coat is where you start to lay it on thicker, and the third coat you lay on even thicker after that. Creates that nice wet finish, which you're going to see here momentarily. Okay, so it's been a couple days. As you can see, tarps are all up, right? I really want to take those down, but there's a reason for that. I'll go over it in a second. The car is red. Very red. Parts are red. Everything is red. In fact, International Harvester red, which is exactly what I wanted. It looks amazing. I cannot thank my buddy Harvey enough for coming by. I didn't really want him to paint the whole thing. I wanted to paint more, but what ended up happening was I only have 3 20-ounce hard cups, and with all the stuff that we were doing, by the time we start at one side of the garage and paint all the way to the other side of the garage, the stuff that we started on was already starting to dry. So there needed to be someone constantly mixing paint and someone pretty much constantly spraying. Yeah, it was It was kind of a lot, but honestly, we both knocked it out, and I mean, I can't really take too much credit for this. I really only did the first, like, introductory coat, right? And I mean, he really killed it. I cannot thank that guy enough. Huge shout out to really anybody that came out and helped me out here, because this would not be possible without some of my buddies, and also just especially my wife. She has been super patient and super helpful this entire time, and man. Anyways, so why is the tarp still up? I don't like them up. They look ugly. Well, we had a reaction on the hood, right? There was a little bit of spray paint that was on the hood that sealer didn't like, had a reaction, and it got up the primer and the sealer. And then the same thing happened. There is a lip that is outside, and well, I can tell you that it looks exactly the same, so there's no point in me going out and showing you. But what happened there? So spray paint sometimes reacts with normal paint. Ooh, it's dark over here. Spray paint sometimes reacts with normal paint, and what will happen is the paint won't chemically cure properly, so it'll like show like ripples and cracks, because it's starting to like shrink when it wants to stick down, right? And at least that's my understanding of it anyways. And then it'll just come up and peel because it won't do anything. So, and then on the lip was brand new, so the lip probably had some oil or something on it. I'm not really too sure. So what's nice about that though is now I get to do a video on the process that we did, because again, with my buddy Harvey here, I did not want to just shove a camera in his face. So now I will be painting these other few parts on my own, and I will be able to go and tell you the process and everything we did. And it'll be a little bit slower because we're not doing everything, right? I'm just doing 2 panels. And cool thing too is one is metal and one is plastic, and it's a little bit different between the two. What else? The only thing that's gonna suck is with the hood here. The hood is going to have to be chemically stripped. So I've got some it's called Citrus Strip. I've been recommended the product, and we're just gonna end up and using that. So yeah, so it's gonna be kind of weird because I'm gonna start reassembling stuff, but it's gonna be in a different video, and still gotta do that hood. So yeah, and I can't really do the hood until everything's assembled loosely. So alright, so we're putting self-etch primer on the parts that we went through. Hardtop's all prepped. Lips all prepped. About ready to go. Let's do it. Alright, we're shaking up some sealer here. First step, using Harvey's very professional Technopro light. You can tell just by from our outfits. Go over here, Harvey. Who the real professional is, I think it's me. There we hit the hood, hardtop, and lip. Let's get after it. Alright, so now we're going over all the sealer we just laid down with 800? 800. And we're taking off all the little dirt nibs. Just keep going in one single direction. After this, we're going to tack rag it and continue on the color. Yep. Alright, we got the color going on here. Beautiful International Harvester Red. And yeah, spray it with the same gun. What, probably about 70-80% overlap-ish. Yeah, 3 coats, right? Yeah. 1 introduction coat, 1 medium, and 1 thick. Let's do it. So, I guess that's pretty much gonna be the end of this video. You're gonna see the hood and everything else prior to this, so I want to explain the process before you actually see it happen. So, yeah, cool. Yeah. If you like the video, give it a like. If you really like the video, consider subscribing. More people make me more happy. Yeah, this is very surreal to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you following along and leaving comments, enjoying the journey, because it brings me happiness, and this brings me happiness just to see this. I almost don't want to touch anything, but it's a weeknight. I'm gonna be out here burning that midnight oil. Yeah, just get out there and work on your projects, guys. No one else is gonna do your projects unless you do, or if you pay someone to do it, because, whew, man, I couldn't pay someone to do this. I couldn't afford it. So, get out there and do it. Later, everyone. Have a good night, day, morning, evening, whatever. Later.